Here we go. For those who were at the presentation last week where we were in next door, you'll remember that I started to play with the energies quite openly so that you could feel the difference in your life just from the intention of moving the energies. What we're going to do today is take that a lot further, and we're going to show you how you actually work and how you connect into the universe, and you'll be able to actually do what I do by the end of the day without any doubt at all, because we're at that critical stage where everybody's ready, and we've gone past the point where you need information. All the information is within you already, and all we've got to do is some tricky little things so that you can feel it. Remembering that all I'm doing is allowing you to access your world. I'm not influencing anything. How that happens is a bit complex to explain, but it's simply how I'm built. No other fancy thing. I just do nothing apart from make sure that there is no influence that can come through and distort your path to yourself while we're all together. You will get to the stage today where you'll pull that filter out of the road that keeps telling you, I don't know about this. I don't know whether I can handle it. I need more information. What does it mean? How do I do it? All those things will just disappear with the filter. We've spent a lot of time, all of us, trying to get to this point and never ever thought we'd get there. Well, I'm telling you, you're there. Every one of you. Otherwise you wouldn't be in the room. And you feel the energy start to flow then? That's an indicator that you know exactly what you're doing. And I didn't do anything, you did. So they're the tricky little things. I only have to say something to fire you up. And I don't have to do anything now, because I can feel you all starting to connect. And I didn't do a thing, except say you can. It'll go quiet for a bit, but you'll feel the temperature going up a little bit, because you're actually joining in with one another in that matrix that can hold the unknown into reality. Because you're really heading off into the unknown today, and you actually know that it's time. So that there's no disturbance in your logic system, we're going to say that it's going to do nothing to you. Not a thing. But it will give you access to the tools that you know you have that you've never seen on this plane before. And you won't need to describe them. They'll just happen. And they'll just be your toolkit from here on in. It's such a brilliant toolkit that it belongs to each one of you separately. And I spoke the other night and said, the realisation that you have to present your signature, the signature of your divine self, to be able to collect your gifts, is something we'd forgotten. And so we all knew that we had to be us. We had to be that being, not the one that is ducking and weaving on this earth so they can't be seen. So that signature is critical in everything we're doing. If you don't have the signature when you go to the bank, you can't get your money. If you don't have the password when you connect on the internet, you can't connect. It's identical. And if you are on the internet and something happens that you drop off, you still have to present your password. You can't put in anybody else's, and you can't put anything different in. And if you forget it, it's a really big job to get access again. All of us hold for one another that second question about your password. So you lose your password, you say, well, give me back the password because I've forgotten. And they say, well, here's a special question for you. What was your mother's maiden name? And then you can get that sent to you again. Each one of us hold that second question for everyone else. And look at the number of times someone can look at you and you know that they're saying, you're not being you. They'll tell you straight away without one word. And when you're not being you, you can't log in. So it's a very, very simple process. Everywhere is the same as here. So everything that we've experienced in this world is to show us how it works. But nothing tells us what the gifts are. So some of the things that we will work with are the common gifts. And the one that comes to mind first up is the life force, the universal life force, not the one that you're using now, but that massive life force that drives you beyond anything you could ever imagine without any difficulty at all. And that's the one that's available to you as soon as you connect. But you have to connect and log in as you. You have to know you above the minimum level acceptable to you as a divine being. You can't log in and say, oh, I don't know. Really. You've got to have total confidence that that's who you are. And so you can connect and you'll get supported, but you won't get any gifts. You'll still run around with an empty tank, thinking, oh, if I just had a bit more energy. I really don't feel like taking the world on. I have enough trouble going up to the shopping centre. I come back. So we're looking at something that's millions of times bigger than what we've got now. And we're going to have that today. Because to do that, there's an understanding of how you work required. And that understanding is a brain function. If it doesn't have any idea, it keeps getting in and saying, no, you're not who you are. No, you're not that good. And then it takes away from the fact that who cares whether you're good or bad or indifferent, you're just you. So we have to have that understanding so the brain will get out of the road. So if I just go through very, very quickly how you work, it will start a function within you that will gradually get your brain out of the road. And you'll think it's still working okay until you realise that if I bring you back, you won't know what to do with yourself because your brain function is different to what it was. So basically, we've walked around this earth for a long time at a level below where we will accept ourselves as a divine being. We've worked really hard to get rid of things so we can get up to that level. And in fact, most people have spent the major part of their life and they're still an eighth of an inch off it. Because they don't realise all you have to do is invite yourself in. because it is your space. It is who you are, and it's the world of your creator where you belong. So the second you invite yourself in, there is no division. And you just feel the energy. Because you've invited yourself into the world of your creator. You are who you are. And you can waltz around in there and no one's going to say a word to you. Because it's yours. It's like going back to your mother's place. First thing you do is go and open the fridge and have a look, see what... And they say, you don't live here. You know, you can't come and take everything out of the fridge. And you say, oh, I forgot. That won't happen. You invite yourself in and everything is yours. So the first thing is you don't have to fix anything. Because in the world of your creator, everything fits. And in fact, if you leave anything out, you're not you. It's like if you leave the colour out of a painting, it doesn't sound right, doesn't look right, has no depth, has no character. So you have to have the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Otherwise you don't have a picture. It's not you. So everything you've ever done, everything you've said I'll never do again, you have to bring all that back to yourself to be you. Not so you think you're you, but you have to be you. So the many thousands of times you've said I'm never going to do that again, there's a process to drop all that, but it's nothing like what you've learnt. Because the only thing that divides all those things is time. And so you just sit there and drop time out of your life and you'll feel your energies coming back, one after the other. And every one of you can do that. You can just drop time out of your life. All your energies start to come back straight away. You'll feel yourself starting to buzz because you've dropped time. It's not a process. It's something you already know about. Because you had to put time in to separate yourself down here to be like everyone else. So the second you drop time out, you allow everything to come back, your total being feels comfortable. It hasn't lost anything. You don't have thoughts of all the wrongs and rights and everything because you've dropped time out. That all disappears. And that sounds a bit crazy to the brain, but it's a fact. Any reactions, any incidents are all time-based. And you can check them out, every one of them. So as soon as we drop time, all our problems are gone. Even in your body. So you feel the temperature go up as soon as I said that. It's because your body said, oh, wow, that's great. And it starts to burn off all the time functions that are in there. And the more we talk about it, the more your temperature will go up inside because it's starting to burn away all that doubt. All the friction, all the indifference, all the things that are holding various things at bay. The memories become a sudden peak of either heat or vibration. So don't be surprised if you have a shiver or something like that and you'll find there's a memory there that's just disappeared because you dropped the time out of it. The simplicity is it covers everything. Nothing is missed. Because everything in this world that hurts us is time-based. So as soon as you drop that out, you realise, wow, I didn't know I could do that. But you really don't have to think about it because it's another process in another part of your being that says, okay, I'll do that because it's not in the body that's here today. It's in your whole makeup that has no sense of time. and therefore it acts instantly on the first rise of the thought. It's not interested in the thought. It knows there's a change and it does it. So now that we've seen that everything can drop away, we can then relax and realise that this simple feeling of the being that's sitting here is actually the divine being. It's not up there. You didn't have to climb up a hill to have it. You didn't have to elevate yourself. You just had to drop out time. And now you understand the divine being, because there's nothing else really. And you don't have to do any exercise. And you don't have to go anywhere. And as that acceptance starts to grow, you'll find you can connect very easily. I've shown you many processes to do that, but the main thing is to see the picture of that golden light shooting up and going to your source and then returning straight back down and expanding around your head like a halo, and you'll feel champagne bubbles. And if you don't feel them, you put your hands there, they'll come. And you're actually you try it, you because you don't feel it to start with, it will generate itself. And it'll go to whatever level it needs to, because you can feel it and oh yeah, it's there. It's like saying, yeah, I've got my hat on. And it's as simple as that. And with that running, I can now say, okay, just let's have a look at the Tinkerbell sparkles that followed straight after that. And you, wow. As you see the Tinkerbell sparkles, they're there. And you fire any one of them up so that it goes whoo, flash. And they'll all go. Good. And you can feel that generating another field, which is the field of harmony. And that is multidimensional. Each sparkle is a dimension, and the glow goes out into a whole multidimensional world that you, as a divine being, is totally familiar with. And you can just go straight to there and feel the harmony. And as soon as you feel that field, there is nothing wrong with your body. It is totally calm, totally okay. And if you do happen to feel something, you just go to that field wherever you think it is, and as soon as you go there, the body will just let it go. It'll come back to harmony. Now that's the field of harmony that I talk about all the time. That's the feedback to tell you everything's okay. Even in an interaction, when all this happens and that field comes, you'll feel harmony. In an interaction, even if you're running up a hill, when that harmony comes in, your body just flicks into automatic mode. So the reason we're talking about that is what we spoke about last week. That harmony is the field that can affect the field of intention that's outside, that says this is solid or that's solid or the world's solid. And with the harmony that we bring, we need everything to be malleable, so the change that's happening in the world will be smooth. So instead of the world going crash bang, it just goes, has a bit of a groan and moves around. And as I talk about it, it's quite okay because you knew that's why you were here. But on top of that, if you now feel that external field and just shoot all that knowledge, all that picture straight up and expand the whole lot, you'll gradually feel another field come back down around you. And I've looked at what that is. And it's actually the field of excitement that excites your inner being and connects to the universal energies that produce a life force, a universal life force, which is over and above the life force you've got now. And it's a life force that will take you anywhere. And that, combined with the harmony, is really that massive force and the gentleness that we call love. And even if I get the words wrong, you know what I'm talking about. The whole thing grows as we sit here. Because that excitement produces the whole base for enjoyment. And enjoyment starts your engine and does it all again. So as soon as you feel that little sense of enjoyment, it generates and blows up and amplifies. And that amplification can go to an enormous heights. As I explain it, I want you to make sure that there's no pressure inside your head. If there's there, just pull it to the outside like a skull cap. And if you can't do it, you can do it. Every time. If you want to persuade yourself that it's there, feel champagne bubbles again. And if you can't prove that, get a little child to check the champagne bubbles. Even if they don't know anything about it, they'll giggle and play with it and enjoy it. So you'll feel a little bit of a temperature change in your body. And that's because it's starting to self-generate. And as we sit here and it self-generates, you can start to feel the edge of your divinity, of that total capability of doing the impossible. And the magic that comes out of that is enormous, because we've just gone into a whole new field, a whole new world. A world that's self-generating, that doesn't have to be supported. This is the real free energy. So we've talked about free energy. You let this generate and see what you can do. It is massive. And it leaves all the free energy systems behind by a long shot. It won't be long before we just sit and we fire everything up and we switch all sorts of things on. Because it's a massive power and it is electric. And that's why most of you can charge a battery if you need to. If your phone goes dead, just hang on to it for a while and see that it's charged. And it'll charge. Every time. No procedure, just needed to be charged. Go on talking to somebody. Next thing it'll turn on. So know that there's a lot of energy within our systems, but it has nothing on the universe. And we are actually connected to that universal energy now. And I won't push it too hard, but you can feel a solidarity growing inside you. It's like a courage. It's something that will actually straighten your backbone up. Sometimes you'll feel it go pop, 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 and you get taller. There are many things that come from all this, but the key to everything is that it's time. And when I say it's time, within days you'll see so much change in the world you won't believe it. And I'm telling you, you're leading it. This is a really, really big step. To take yourself through into a whole new realm and still be here. And it's easy. That's the whole thing, it's easy. At times, you'll find it needs precision. But let me tell you, what's happening now is totally precise. And as the vibration goes up and down, sometimes you'll get to a point where you think, I've lost it. It's because it is asking you to be a little bit more precise. It's like you're on top of the wave and it's just starting to peak. And you need to be precise to ride the wave. If you get a bit slack, you roll off the wave. And you've just got to do it again. And it doesn't take much to do it again if you retain your signature. If you don't retain your signature, it gets so frustrating because you've got to go through that procedure again of getting your signature back. And you can't remember the password. And no one's going to tell you. Except if you actually look into somebody else's eyes who understands. So that's the gift we hold for one another, to maintain the recognition of one another. And to accept that recognition as something really, really special. And to not hesitate for 1 second if someone's offbeat. We're at a point where we don't need any consideration for one another because we're giving one another the greatest gift of all time. And we're sending to one another all the time this perfect health, perfect life and magic future. Why would you want to be polite enough not to do that? Because somebody's run into a door and got off balance and got cranky, and then all of a sudden they're not them. The first thing you do is you look at them, and they'll probably explode because they don't want you to. But you look at them, and if necessary, you say, that's enough. They'll get through it, and they'll thank you for being able to retain their signature and to stay at the level of expectation within themselves that they've missed for their whole life. Every one of us has missed that feeling of our own presence. And you start to feel your own presence because you're connected. And I only have to speak about it and you can feel the buzz starting to happen because it's so important to feel your own presence. And to actually sit in that presence 24 hours a day so that it is more important to you than anything else that's happening around you. It actually distracts you. It's so beautiful that it makes the rest of our activities look like nothing. But at the same time, it's gentle, and it's very, very clear and very practical. So we're not going along with anything except the really clear, simple, straightforward step from here to nowhere in 0.2 of a second. Job's over. Because everything I've explained to your head, you don't have to do, because it's automatic. As soon as you invite yourself in, all those things happen. And providing there's that little understanding that this is good, nothing in your system will get in the road. It will allow you to be there, to be comfortable, and to also be everywhere else in the world. So what I've done while you're sitting there is I've opened the channels up a lot wider than they've ever been before, so that you're starting to feel that there's no real strain. And you know, if I said to you, what's happening over the Alps, what's happening in Southeast Asia, what's happening next door, what's your family doing, you don't have to ask yourself, you just have a feeling, or you may have a look. Or even if I say, what's it like to look through another person's eyes? You go, oh, I'll have a look. Because you are everywhere. And with the channels open as far as they are, there's no difficulty. And there's not even an action required. It's just who you are. So the expansion that's happening in your life is so small that after today you'll see that it's insignificant. Because the ease with which you can be you and be there all the time is so amazing that when you go back into that mini world that you used to live in, you'll say, besides not being able to remember how to live that way, I have no idea why I would want to. Now, what comes out of all this, you will also understand as we go along, you know, in the days and weeks ahead. You'll see that you have affected the whole world around you. Things will come to you, circumstances will come. Events will just turn up out of nowhere. And you don't have to wonder why. I can give you an explanation of how it all works, but you've already got that. You've had that. Now it's a case of, okay, yeah, we're who we are. We don't even have to remember what we brought here. We know it's part of us. And we know it's reflecting into the universe. So that the universe can create everything around us that suits the message we bring. And we find out what the message is when we see something happen and you say, yeah. You don't see it before. So everything that will eventuate over the next very short period of time will confirm to you that you have made a difference. So the difference in your life will be enormous, because your whole purpose is to change the world. from a universal level. If you're changing the world from a universal level, you're going to be the first one to feel it. So your life will change. All the difficulties that you've seen in the past, events will happen to make them disappear. Not just for you. In fact, your intention will be for everyone else. And it will happen to you first. Because there is a leadership that comes with you arriving here on earth. And that leadership is not a responsibility. It just is. And you'll find that you've been doing it already. You're the first one to jump up and try to make everything happen properly. What you've been given is a set of gifts where you will make things happen so that the events occur. And you know all about this, it just hasn't been presented before. So you've known there has to be another way. The other way is you. So allowing yourself to sit in your own presence and to feel it all the time, and to feel the buzz, to feel the champagne bubbles, to know about the multidimensional activation, and to feel the harmony, is you without any change at all. That's how you came here. You don't have to fire it up. Your head has to understand that that's who you are. And it now does understand that's who you are. And it gets out of the road because that's beyond. It's beyond anything that the brain that we know can handle. All the control functions that are outside of that brain function are switching on as we're sitting here talking. And it's just you're starting to feel complete. The things that can't be described are the most comfortable in our whole existence. So that feeling of harmony and comfort and the growth of your life force will support you in this world and in every other one. So we're about to actually find that there are multidimensional connections that are not just imagination. They will start to show up in your life. You won't need an explanation. You'll just say, "Oh, I thought that was the case." There'll be events that indicate to you that there's been movement such that different dimensions are available to us. There'll be mechanisms produced where we can actually check out the other dimensions and work with them. And there'll be visitors that stand in front of us that look just like us, that will say one or two words and you'll go, "Well, you're not from here either." And it's that growth that is actually putting us into the multidimensional phase. The recognition is because the dimensions become available. just like when you walk into the woods and you don't think there's any birds there, and you wait until they arrive. They didn't go anywhere. They just let you into their dimension. You didn't hear a big flutter of birds turn up and there's all of a sudden 1,000 birds in front of you. You go in there, you can't find any, you can't hear them. You wait for a little bit and they allow you in. And you start to see them. You start to hear them. This is what the multidimensional beings here are doing. And many of you are from different dimensions. And you've walked throughout the world and not shown yourself to anybody except those who didn't know you. And now you're turning up at a point where you're finding those who know you and you're revealing yourself. And that is a multidimensional action. We're at the point where all this is about to flip over, so that the norm is that we're all multidimensional beings, and we recognise one another every day. And we'll be walking in amongst people that we didn't really think we would ever walk amongst. And what we reflect is the gifts that we have for this world. And they're the ones that are turning up here today for you because you decided you'd be here. I'll open up another field before the day's out so that you can really feel it and really know it's true. But right now, if I pushed it too far, you'll end up with headaches, and that's not good. So the practical part of what we're doing is we're breaking the rules. We're going where nobody else has been. And it's not easy to explain that to anyone, particularly yourself. But when you feel the joy behind what happens as a result of it, you'll be leaping out of your chair. Everything that's been in your heart since you got here, you'll see starting to happen. You'll feel it as an imminent possibility. The growth of your connection to everything will be enormous. You'll feel things at a distance that you would never ever thought you'd feel before. The sense that you have when children are around is going to happen all the time. You will have a knowing of where everybody and everything is and what it's doing. All the time. And the excitement of feeling your own presence just keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing. So even when you're sitting talking to someone, you're preoccupied with that feeling of your presence. Because that's what you've always felt. No matter what dimension you're in. The beauty of your own being. And we can explain all sorts of things for your head, but it doesn't matter. That preoccupation with your own presence and the vibration, the good feelings, the changes, the movements, the dance, the patterns, it's endless. And we could sit here and do all sorts of exercises to activate all sorts of things. It does not follow your flow. Because your flow is totally random and totally unique. And it's a flow that's so complex that not one of us affect one another. We enhance one another. We don't have to have any consideration. And it's like many workshops where people become aware, they can blindfold them and tell them to walk from one side of the room to the other, and another lot to work this way, and by the way, the rule is you don't run into anyone. And they'll do it and not run into one another. Because that essence within you has a total control system of harmony. And that includes everything. So the harmony of even the movement of your energies in this room is such that it's a catalyst, total catalyst for the other person. Over a period, I've worked with people to take them to various levels, to move things around, to even just hear different things that they didn't think were possible. And here today, that's all here. And even if you haven't been here or heard me before, that's gone into your whole being. And you don't have to know anything. That's important for me to tell you because you're going to do that to everyone else. And you have to know that they don't have to know anything. The gifts that are coming to you and that you're feeling now are gifts of capability that don't have explanation. But they solve everything without using one even movement of what your body would have done in the past. So if you find yourself trying to help somebody and you're using the feelings, emotion, movement that you were using before, just say and go back to your connection and you watch what happens. You will change them immediately by means that you couldn't imagine. And you may change them by somebody else coming up and helping them. You may change them by they fall over and hit their head and they're good again. You don't know. But it always works. That's your brilliance. Whatever is necessary will happen. And the further we go, whatever is necessary to drive us all back into that elated state, no matter what we do, that will work. Because every movement that follows the non-linear artistic field is driving that force within you that starts the whole sequence, that gives you that universal life force. And so the simplicity comes back to you enjoy and you feel the movement and you do it in an artistic flow and you'll feel everything happen. That's what drives the powerhouse. The very thing that they took out of schools. So as our next step in going forward has nothing to do with what we've been doing in the past. Not at all. And the feeling that you can make a difference, even sitting in a chair, will grow so fast. It'll be amazing. Our gift of enjoyment will enhance itself so much that you won't have to go and do something to get enjoyment. you have a look now, you'll say to somebody, so what are we going to do? We're going to go out and enjoy ourselves? But that's not how it works. Enjoyment is the initiating field that makes everything possible. And when it makes everything possible, it gives you more enjoyment. So you can do that sitting here. You can do it working, you can do it at anything. As long as you feel that beautiful movement of nature, of your body, of music, and just feel the young people, and feel what comes from them, and feel the difference in their life force. And yours will switch on like that, because the life force we've been using is dead. Totally dead. Has been for many, many years. And so we all struggled. It's like trying to get your car home if it's all empty, you know. There's a lot of stress. Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? I'm on a road that's got no gas station and it's on E. And this is how we've lived. So see that the instant you feel like that, and I've said it to bring your energy down, it dropped you, didn't it? It dropped you into nowhere. So in a fraction of a second, if you just see that light shoot up, hit your source, come back down and blossom. And then Tinkerbell sparkles into harmony and into the malleable world. You go, right. And then you can just shoot it all up again and get that power from the universe. That life force that drives anything. Seeing that picture a couple of times, and we'll do it a few times over the day, you'll see the power of just going straight there and knowing it takes 0.2 of a second. That's not even time to say and one. It's there before you finish saying and. Because if anybody's had anything to do with looking at a trace on an oscillograph or anything like that, an oscilloscope, or even on a heartbeat machine, the rising edge is what tells you where it's going to go, how it's going to go, what angle it's going to go. So your system feels the rising edge that's straight up, and it says, I'm there. And it takes you right to the top. Turns everything on, and you won't turn it off because it's too comfortable. The other sense that you will feel is the sense of somebody controlling you into an area where you shouldn't go. That sense will happen to you even when you leave here. And it feels like you're drowning. As soon as you feel that, you have to disconnect from that circuit. And even if you've got to say to the person, I'll catch you tomorrow, or I'll catch you down the road, I've just got to go back around this way. Physically move in another direction, even if it's just for 3 steps. To break that pull that's trying to take you below your acceptance as a divine being. Because as a divine being, you do not control. You know you don't have to. And even the simplest of things will make you feel like somebody's controlling you. Instead of giving you the option, you'll be guided into doing something that you really didn't want to do. It'll only happen a couple of times. If it does, just switch straight back on. Just get out of the path for a second, switch straight back on, and you'll feel the whole energy change again. You're back to where you were, and you can come back with the person or whatever, and it'll be fine. That skill you need to actually observe. Because without that, you're not you, and you'll forget your signature. The other thing, if that happens, ring somebody. Because your closest friend or anybody you've met that you know understands will immediately transmit to you what you need. Even if it's not words. It doesn't take much to get your signature back and to switch back on and to be where you want to be. But the brain will say, oh, I don't want to disturb them. That's not really good, I can't do that. I'll get over it. You don't. It's like going to the bank and saying, I can't remember my password. Do you think if I stay here long enough it'll be all right? I'll say you can sit there as long as you like. Until you got the password, you don't get your money. And if you have the opportunity to call someone and say, give me some clues, the password will pop in. And it's not a sense of you have to speak even. It's a sense of you know they have that gift to hold that for you. So the other thing that's happening here is the matrix that we built amongst us all to make sure that the unknown is visible in the physical world is now becoming very, very solid. So anything from the unknown you bring in will actually have an effect. Where you used to think it was imagination, you'll find that it is so real that you can touch it. And that's why often I'll feel something, it's like someone running into me or just brushing past me, and I'll turn around, it's that real. And my eyes will follow, and I don't know what I'm following. But it is real. And if you allow what you thought was imagination to come into the physical world, that matrix that we've all generated will allow it to sit there in reality. Just like you said, the canvas for painting. You can get your paintbrush and do this as much as you like. And unless it's got the canvas to go on, you don't get a picture. That's the unfortunate part of the physical world. So you can see the picture and you know exactly what it's going to look like, but until you've got a base for it, you can't present it here. So the base that we've produced is our connection between one another, and it's just like a golden grid that crosses, yeah, you can feel it. And it gives us the base to bring in the whole. I think they call it the golden age as well, don't they? So it's going to sit and it will appear. We've had a few incidents in the world that have really shaken us up. But the greatest thing about them all is that we've actually lifted past the predictions. All the doom and gloom didn't really happen. Yet they can prove that it must have. And they can show you on the TV. And they can tell you what the disasters are. But what we've actually done is we've made everything form up the way it should to make sure that the movement in the earth and the catastrophe in the field is kept at a minimum. We know it had to happen to shake up the consciousness that's not ours. It's a consciousness that has been built by us, but it's in the earth. It's in the atmosphere. It's the conversation about them, about the government, the authorities, the Vatican. You can go and talk to anybody in any of those places and they're just like us. They're not like the them. They don't have that power. That power is built in the consciousness that's held by the Earth's field. So the Earth spits it out every now and then. And it has to. But it's quite happy to do it softly if we allow everything to be malleable. In that state, we are malleable. And it's a beautiful feeling to feel yourself and to feel totally malleable. So that you have no stiff ideas, stiff feelings, or stiff reactions. The connection between us and everything around us is so close that if you see anything at all that you can relate to as something breaks easy or there's turmoil or whatever, you only have to be as it should be, and you watch. Everything around you will be the same. So don't try to remember that. Remember there's only one thing to do, and that's be you. Be connected and enjoy. Let's have a break.